Episode 25, The Sovereign Kiss. Hopelessly Stupid. Are there any women in the country who don't want to sleep with Lu Tingxiao? Ningxi asked back. Then are there any women in the country who want to sleep with me? I haven't seen you wanting me either. Jiong blurted out. Ningxi raised her voice in question. How do you know I haven't thought about it? Jiong was stunned for a moment, then his ears turned red instantly. The next moment, Ningxi burst into laughter. Jiong realized he had been played and immediately became furious. Ningxi. Just wait for me. We're not finished. If it weren't for the fact that there were other people in the private room, he would have started a fight with her long ago. Ningxi saw that she had finally angered him and quickly waved her hand to escape. She had indeed drunk too much tonight. Whenever she drank too much, she enjoyed teasing Jiong, that fool. After solving her physiological problems, Ningxi staggered back. The hotel corridor was confusing, and she wandered around for a while before finally finding the private room. However, upon pushing open the door, she was dumbfounded. The room was full of strangers, and this private room was obviously much more luxurious than the one they had for their crew, almost opulent with golden splendor. Sorry, wrong room. Ningxi apologized and was about to leave when suddenly a fat, greasy hand covered her wrist. Then, a mouth reeking of strong alcohol almost touched her face. Oh, where did this lost little lamb come from? Since you're here, it must be fate. Why not stay and have a drink together? The man who grabbed her hand looked like he was in his 40s or 50s, with rolls of fat, flushed cheeks, and eyes that shamelessly assessed her as if she were not wearing any clothes. His gaze finally stopped at her chest. Laughter and teasing sounds immediately erupted in the private room. Ningxi, who had subconsciously wanted to use her over-the-shoulder throw technique, accidentally glanced around and discovered that many of the faces in this private room were familiar, appearing frequently in financial magazines. After taking a closer look, damn, half of the top 10 on the Forbes rich list were in this private room. The probability of this, just like a eunuch mistakenly entering the imperial court during the early morning assembly, was as horrifying. None of the people in this room were ones she could afford to offend, so Ningxi immediately withdrew her thoughts of using violence. It seemed that tonight wouldn't be so easy to escape, especially since she had drunk too much at the moment and her head was still spinning. Come, beauty, come in quickly. The fat man continued to pull her into the private room, while at the same time, he shamelessly tried to grope her. Ningxi struggled to free herself from the fat man's grip and politely said, I'm sorry, sir. I actually entered the wrong room. My friend is still waiting for me. Upon hearing this, the fat man became furious. Damn liar. Clearly, you deliberately entered the wrong room. Stop pretending to be innocent. I can see through you. Your ancestors' spirits must be smoldering in anger. Ningxi cursed silently. What kind of quality did the bottom of the Forbes rich list have? She recognized this fat man as Zhu Xiangqing, the chairman of Fengrui Real Estate. He was especially lecherous. As the fat man spoke, he reached out to grab her again. Seeing that he was about to drag her to the sofa, Ningxi was racking her brain for a way to escape. At this moment, her shoulders suddenly sank, and a cool and gentle force surrounded her from behind. In the next second, she bumped into a hard and warm embrace. Mr. Lu? Lu Zong. Zhu Xiangqing, who had just been pestering Ningxi, immediately froze. However, he quickly put on a flattering expression. Is this girl someone Mr. Lu is also interested in? Since that's the case, then you go first. In the private room, the people who had just been watching the show had their expressions completely change. What was going on? Every time Lu Tingxiao attended a social event, he was as indifferent as an alpine flower, treating women with disdain. Now, he was unexpectedly interested in a woman who had mistakenly entered the room while drunk. Ignoring the reactions of those people, Lu Tingxiao's eyes were only on one person. He frowned as he looked at the swaying girl in his arms. What's going on? Lu? Ningxi stopped herself just in time from calling out his name directly. She stammered, I entered the wrong room. The lighting in the private room was dim, and she hadn't noticed Lu Tingxiao here before. In a room full of beer bellies, Lu Tingxiao's presence was like a breath of fresh air. Which room are you in? I'll take you back. Lu Tingxiao didn't even look at the people with various expressions behind him and directly led Ningxi out. At that moment, he had been closing his eyes to rest, vaguely hearing the laughter in the private room but not paying attention. It wasn't until he heard Ningxi's familiar voice that he opened his eyes and saw Zhu Xiangqing actually groping her. At that instant, he had the urge to break that man's hand. But he couldn't scare the girl, so he suppressed the cold and murderous intent, pretending to be a stranger and intervened to help her escape. Once they were out of the private room, Ningxi finally breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you, Lu Tingxiao. If it weren't for you, I might have caused trouble tonight. Even if you caused trouble, so what? With me taking care of it for you, if you encounter this kind of situation again, don't let yourself suffer a loss. Lu Tingxiao earnestly lectured her. Ningxi laughed and sighed, it feels really good to have someone backing you up. When she left the Lu family, when the little bun didn't need her anymore, she and Lu Tingxiao would probably become strangers, right? For some reason, thinking about these things made her feel a bit melancholic. Lu Tingxiao patted the girl's head. I can support you for a lifetime, as long as you're willing. Ningxi brushed away thoughts she shouldn't have in her mind. I'm fine now. You can go back in. Are you sure you can handle it yourself? Lu Tingxiao looked at her with concern. I'm sure. You go back in quickly. Ningxi waved her hand and stepped back. Are you sure? Lu Tingxiao still seemed worried. I'm sure. Hurry back in. Ningxi retreated while waving her hand. Lu Tingxiao knew in advance that their crew would have a gathering here tonight, so he accepted the invitation to this boring party. Of course, he was well aware of which private room Ningxi was in. Thus, when he saw that Ningxi was heading in the opposite direction, Lu Tingxiao sighed helplessly. With large strides, he caught up with her. Forget it, I'll take you back. Which room are you in? It's room 801. Room 801 is not in this direction. Lu Tingxiao supported her and guided her in the correct direction. He stopped only when they reached the door. Go in. Don't run around. If you need to use the restroom, find a friend to accompany you. If you can't find anyone, find Jiong Mai. Find Jiong Mai to accompany her to the restroom? I got it. Thanks for personally escorting me, Boss Lu. Ningxi made a heart gesture. Lu Tingxiao raised his lips, and the last trace of murderous intent hidden between his brows disappeared. Text me when you leave. We'll go back together. After returning, Jiong Mai finally breathed a sigh of relief. Why did it take you so long? I thought you fell into the toilet. Falling into the toilet is nothing. I fell into a wolf's den. Ningxi leaned into the sofa, her face full of lingering fear. What do you mean? Jiong Mai frowned. I walked into the wrong private room. You didn't know. It was full of big shots from the capital, and there was a creepy fat guy who forcibly held on to me, wanting me to drink with him. What did you say? Jiong Mai's face immediately changed, nervously examining her. How did you come back? Ningxi hummed, because I was lucky. I ran into the big boss of the big shots. Jiong Mai's face darkened. It couldn't be Lu Tingxiao, right? Ningxi snapped her fingers. Bingo. You got it right. Boss Lu is so handsome. He appeared just in time, saved me from the crisis, and personally escorted me to the door of the private room. Where was the high IQ and low EQ he expected? Was this man, who was so skillful in picking up girls, the person he knew? After the party ended, everyone bid farewell. Ningxi, how are you getting back? Do you want me to give you a ride? Yi Linglong asked. Thanks, Sister Yi, no need. I have a friend nearby, and he'll give me a ride on the way back. Alright then, take care on the road. What about Mai? How are you leaving? Guo Qixing asked. I'm waiting for my manager. Okay, then we'll see you tomorrow. If the weather is good, we'll continue today's shoot. The rain and hail today were too strange. Guo Qixing complained. After the crew members gradually left, only Jiong Mai and Ningxi remained at the door. Ningxi, feeling both tired and drunk, obviously couldn't hold on much longer. She was leaning against a golden pillar, squinting her eyes like a dead dog. Jiong Mai glanced at her. Mingji still needs a while to arrive. Why are you waiting for a friend? Just go back with me. No, I'll wait for my friend. He'll be here soon. Jiong Mai was about to say something more when a person in a suit walked out of the hotel lobby, stepping on the moonlight with steady steps. He walked to Ningxi, who was dozing off, and his voice was like the breeze on a summer night. Ningxi. Ningxi, in a daze, opened her eyes. Lu Tingxiao. This man in front of her seemed to be the synonym for a sense of security. The moment his figure appeared in her line of sight, she finally let go of the last bit of forced wakefulness. Her body went limp, leaning to the side and falling straight into his arms. Seeing this, Jiong Mai was surprised. Just as he was about to reach out and help, someone else was faster. The man gently arranged the messy hair at the corner of the girl's forehead and, with one arm, lifted her up. At the same time, a black Maybach silently stopped at the door, and the driver quickly got out to open the door. Jiong Mai saw that Lu Tingxiao was acting as if he didn't exist, holding Ningxi like this and heading towards the car. Unable to endure any longer, he quickly opened the recording function on his phone and shouted from behind, "Uncle, uncle." Lu Tingxiao paused slightly, making a very small movement to the side, asking him with his eyes if there was anything wrong. Jiong Mai gritted his teeth. What was the matter? Did he have to act so naturally? What is your intention towards Ningxi? Lu Tingxiao glanced at the girl sleeping in his arms and lowered his head slightly, gently covering her lips. In the next second, Jiong Mai's pupils suddenly contracted. The man opposite didn't speak directly. Instead, he lowered his head and lightly covered the girl's lips. 3 seconds later, the man, with an expression devoid of any cherishing or lingering emotions, left. Then, he looked at the dumbfounded young man with icy eyes. Understand? Late at night. Platinum Empereur Palace, Suite 6. A golden retriever was rolling on the bed like a spinning top. Lei Ming sat on the opposite sofa, looking helpless as he yawned. You've barked 258 times already. What happened tonight? Jiong Mai immediately gave him a fierce look, and even his little tiger teeth sparkled with a cold light. Don't mention the number 258 to me. I'm a living idiot. Ning Shaoxi was right to deduct that 0.1 from my IQ. Barking, barking, barking. I'm just hopelessly stupid. What's the use of recording? Why didn't I secretly record a video? Why? Lei Ming's mouth twitched, completely confused about what he was ranting about. However, there was one thing he understood very well. Every time Jiong Mai went crazy like this, it was related to Ningxi. Mai, do you want to reconcile with Ningxi? Jiong Mai froze like a stone, and he hummed menacingly, am I crazy? Do I want to reconcile with that jerk? Because of what she did, I still have nightmares about it. Lei Ming silently watched Jiong Mai's face, which looked like that of a complaining woman. Although he clearly liked her in his heart, he was stubbornly denying it. Lei Ming had always suspected that Jiong Mai had truly fallen for Ningxi back then. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been so angry when he found out the truth. As for his current feelings towards Ningxi, was it because hatred bred love? It could also be that the best things were always the ones you couldn't have. While Jiong Mai continued to roll around, his phone on the bedside table rang. Jiong Mai was completely uninterested, and it was Lei Ming who picked up his phone in the end. It's your father calling. My dad? Jiong Mai instantly sat up. Because of his entry into the entertainment industry, he and his old man had been at odds like enemies. How could his father take the initiative to call him now? A hint of unease flashed through Jiong Mai's heart, and he quickly answered the call. Due to the long period without contact and harboring some resentment, Jiong Mai did not even address him as father. Instead, he coldly asked, Jiang Chairman, why are you looking for me so late? Is there something wrong? A helpless sigh came from the other end of the phone, and the man's voice sounded extremely weary. Mai, come back. The company is in trouble. Jiong Mai's face immediately changed. What do you mean the company is in trouble? What happened? We have an internal traitor, and our cooperation with HN is in jeopardy. Right now, I can't trust anyone. The only person I can rely on is you. Do you really want to watch your father's lifelong business crumble? Can you bear to see that happen? Jiang Tingguang's tone was almost pleading. Jiong Mai's grip on the phone tightened. I can't return to the company. I've already said I won't take over your company. Mai, I'm not asking you to quit the entertainment industry. Whether or not you accept the company is entirely up to you. I just hope you can spare some time to come back and help me. Jiong Mai, feeling a little uneasy, replied, I can't quit the entertainment industry. I've also said that I won't take over the company. Mai, I'm not asking you to quit the entertainment industry. Whether or not you accept the company is entirely up to you. I just hope you can spare some time to come back and help me. Jiong Mai, who tended to soften when faced with a gentle approach, didn't immediately refuse. Instead, he said vaguely, but I'm very busy lately. Let me consider it. After hanging up the phone, Jiong Mai's expression changed. Did my dad's company encounter a problem? Family matters are important. I can help you coordinate with work here. Jiong Mai had a splitting headache. But what about my ongoing scenes? Should I drop everything? Lei Ming pondered for a moment and then analyzed, dropping everything is not necessary. Tianxia is a historical drama with many large scenes, and the shooting cycle is relatively long. I can talk to the director and have all your scenes scheduled for the end. Any potential losses during this period can be covered by us, and Guo Qixing should agree. Jiong Mai, frustrated, ran his fingers through his hair. It seems like that's the only option. Damn it, why is everything going wrong lately? Even the cooperation with HN is in trouble, and we're shooting a kissing scene in the middle of summer with hail falling. The more Jiong Mai spoke, the more he felt that something was off. Finally, he slapped the mattress. Damn it. Lu Tingxiao. You're shameless. Lu residence. Watching Daddy bring the tipsy Auntie Xiaoxi back, Little Treasure's face was full of blame and accusations. Lu Tingxiao placed Ning Shi on the bed and, meeting his son's gaze, raised an eyebrow in explanation. It wasn't me who let her drink. Little Treasure still wore a face of blame and accusations. Helplessly, Lu Tingxiao said, "All right, it's still my fault. I didn't take care of her properly." Seeing his father's sincere attitude, Little Treasure finally withdrew his dissatisfied gaze. Then, he hurriedly ran to the bathroom, took out a hot towel after a while, took off his shoes, climbed onto the bed, and sat on the edge carefully wiping Auntie Xiaoxi's face. He wiped her hands after finishing her face, looking meticulous and serious. Watching his son, who looked like the perfect filial child, Lu Tingxiao felt both pleased and sighed. He, as a father, had never received such treatment. Ugh. My head hurts. When Little Bun heard Ning Shi's distressed moans, he felt extremely distressed and quickly crawled over to comfort her. Lu Tingxiao's eyes flickered slightly as he looked at his son. This is a requirement of your Auntie Xiaoxi's job. I can't interfere, but you can try to advise her to drink less in the future. She listens to you. Little Treasure found this quite agreeable. With a serious and stern expression, he nodded, indicating that he would take on this important mission. The next morning, Ning Shi woke up and saw Little Bun lying on her bedside with a serious expression, looking unhappy. Ning Shi hurriedly sat up. What's wrong, darling? Did something happen? Why do you look so upset? Just like your dad. She spoke while amusingly pinching his little face. Little Bun quickly took out a writing pad from behind and began flipping through the pages. Seeing this, Ning Shi laughed. Oh, my dear, what happened? Is something the matter? Little Bun turned the pages with determination. Ning Shi saw that Little Bun had drawn vivid and detailed comics, illustrating the harms of drinking from various perspectives, including the heart, blood, bones, stomach, pancreas, liver, etc. After flipping through, Little Bun continued to look at her with a serious expression, his meaning clear. Ning Shi cleared her throat. Ahem, well, sweetheart, the thing is, alcohol isn't as scary as you think. It can lower harmful cholesterol, boost confidence, stimulate brain intelligence, and even help control weight. Ning Shi rattled off a series of benefits. Although she knew Little Bun was concerned about her, she couldn't promise a child something she couldn't fulfill. How could she not drink in her line of work? Upon hearing this, Little Bun's pitch-black eyes were filled with anger and disappointment. Then, he quickly turned his head and ran out. Hey, don't go. Ning Shi awkwardly scratched her head.